react directly to the video itself. So, all right, we're just gonna get started now. So, a community member in Discord was asking me about speed reading and whether I think it's actually useful or not. And he sent me this video. It's a 47-minute video. Uh, and I'm wondering, and he told me that the part that he's curious about is minute 21. So I'll just do a quick reaction to this video right now. All right, let's start this video. Let's see what they say.
How the entire speed reading process looks. Coolest thing in the world is how the entire speed reading process looks like when you're starting out. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to use a tracker, like a pencil or your finger, to drag it underneath the text as you read at your normal pace.
Okay, stopping there. That's totally fine. I'm happy to have you use your pencil not even horizontally. I think just going vertically is even perfectly fine. So that part is totally fine.
What I mean by that is, you're just literally dragging it across as you read underneath the text. I like a pencil because if you use a pencil, it just takes up even less space in your finger, so you get more in your peripheral vision, which is what it's all about. But a finger is fine in a pinch if you don't have one with you. The second thing you're going to do is start counting to 2 over and over again out loud. You can also say beep boop if you prefer. So what you're going to do is stop copying yourself and literally as you're reading, just go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You might seem like a crazy person, but I would argue that's way crazier if you're copying yourself in your own head. So you're going to get in the habit.
I have a high suspicion that that's bad. It might be less bad than some other things that you are doing. So for you, like whoever you are that's watching this video right now, for you, this might be better than the horrible thing that you're doing. Compared to your horrible habits, this might be better. But compared to my existing habits, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be worse. And I'm gonna actually just test it right now. Let's go find a hard passage. What's the... Not Great Expectations. What's the Tale of Two Cities passage? Okay. Let's go. All right. This is a passage I've actually never read ever in my life. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually read. I'm gonna read for the first half of it. I'm gonna read the way I normally read, and then the second half of it, I'm gonna do this beep boop thing, 1 2 1 2 thing, and I'm gonna see. I'm going to just try it, okay? I'm not going to just slam this advice without trying it because I've never personally tried this before. So let's see what happens when I switch from my usual way of reading to this suggested way of reading, okay? So here we go, beep boop. France, less favored on the whole as to matters spiritual than her sister the shield and trident. Okay, I don't know what the sister is, but I'm guessing sister is probably England. Okay. Less favored on the whole compared to on spiritual mission. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that France is less spiritual than England. Rolled with exceeding smoothness downhill, making lots of money, spending it. Under the guidance of her Christian pastor, she entertained herself besides with such humane achievements as sentencing. Okay, we're being sarcastic. We're making fun of France right now. His tongue torn out with pistol, his body burned alive because he had not kneeled down in the rain to do honor to a dirty procession of monks. Okay, we're being very sarcastic at a distance of some 50 or 60 yards. It is likely enough that rooted in the woods of France and Norway, Norway, I literally just jumped to the middle of this chapter, so I don't even know what Norway could possibly be talking about. But it looks like it's the very first time we got Norway. It is likely enough that rooted in the woods of France and Norway, there were trees that, when that sufferer was put to death, already marked by the woodman fate, to come down and be sawn into boards to make a certain movable framework with a sack and a knife in it, terrible in history. Whoa, I did not understand that. Okay, let me try this again. It is likely enough that there were trees growing to come down and be sawn into boards to make a certain movable framework with a sack and a knife in it. Oh, I think we're talking about the creation of trees, the growing of trees to make executioner's devices. Okay, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, pause. Up until now, what I just did is I just read this passage just the way I normally read the passage. Okay. I'm going to try to implement this advice, and I think I my hypothesis is going to be very disruptive to my thought process. But you can tell already this is a hard passage to read. I've never read this passage before. I just read on Reddit earlier today that this was a hard book, so I just had it on my mind. I'm just kind of winging it right now. Um, I'm already getting the sense that this is going to be painful, but let's try and see if it helps. I'm going to try. I'm going to go longer than this one paragraph. I'm going to give it two full paragraphs to see if it helps. Okay. It is likely enough that in the rough outhouses and tillers of the heavy lands adjacent to Paris. Okay, I'm overwhelmed, so I'm going to use some other technique. I'm actually overwhelmed right now, trying to count 1, 2 in my head. Um, it is extremely unnatural for me. uh, I'm going to try one more time, but isn't there some way for me to... Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. I'm going to try it with smaller lines. Okay, here we go. It is likely enough... Okay, you know what's interesting about doing this? The interesting thing about doing this exercise is it actually forces me to keep reading because it gives me a sense of rhythm. Okay, it gives me a sense of rhythm where I'm actually I'm actually trying to like keep to a certain rhythm, so it keeps forcing me forward. But I find it extremely overwhelming. It's like I can't. It doesn't. Maybe there's a way where it doesn't force me to rush so much, but it makes me feel like I'm rushing. Likely enough, in the rough outhouses and tillers of the heavy land adjacent to Paris, that were sheltered from the weather. So I don't know if you can see, but I'm using my fingers to try to keep a rhythm. But now I'm confused by the atheistical and traitorous, and I'm trying to go back. And I'm literally thinking 1, 2 right now as I'm reading. The death had already set apart to be his tumbrils of the farmer. Who's the farmer? The farmer's over here. Oh my god, where's the subject? Though they worked unceasingly, no one hurt them as much. I think this is a typo actually. I think that's making it harder. This is supposed to say they. Dude, I did not understand that paragraph. Let me continue. In England, there was scarcely an amount of order and protection to justify much national boasting. Daring burglaries by armed men and highway robberies took place in the capital itself every night. Okay, bad. It's disorderly. Families were publicly cautioned not to go out. The highwayman in the dark was a city tradesman. Captain gallantly shot him through the head. Wait, who? The tradesman being recognized and challenged by fellow tradesmen. The highwayman was shot by someone else called the captain, I think. Yeah, so you know what I'm really noticing? I'm noticing that this is making me rush. So what's definitely true? This counting 1, 2, 1, 2 will make you read faster. But the question is, are you gonna get more accurate answers? Which I actually think you're not. I think you're not gonna get more accurate answers because this makes me rush. I actually feel it making me go faster. So I believe that people believe this is effective because they can feel themselves moving forward when they're counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? When you do it, it kind of makes you read faster. And that feels like a solution. So far. if the problem for you is that you keep not reading. But that's not the problem you should be solving if you are scoring at 700 or anywhere close to 700. The problem is not you not reading. The problem is you not understanding, which is a whole other problem. For me, I would say the speed of my reading definitely went up when I used the 1-2-1-2 tip, but my understanding, it just feels extremely painful to try to understand the passage when I keep having this rhythm behind me, right? And it's like making me go forward. It's like it's really awkward for me to try to understand what the passage is talking about. So right now on a scale, on a ABCDF scale, in terms of how much I approve of this tip, my dude, if the goal is literally just reading faster, then sure, it's A. It's actually very shockingly effective. If the goal is if the goal dude, if your goal is to actually understand, it's like a F. Dude, that really made it hard for me to understand what I was reading. Increase the speed of the tracker and oh, hell no. Oh, oh, hell no. But I have tried using this. I have tried using similar techniques when I was in high school. This was like a decade, like more than a decade ago. This was way back when. And I remember forcing myself to read faster. And again, this does solve one problem, guys. You know what it solves? It solves the guilt, okay? The guilt of not reading a assigned reading assignment before class. So if you are in college or if you're in high school and the expectation is that every student comes to the class, it's like a seminar class where you have to discuss, and the expectation is that everyone came to class and everyone read. But let's say that they give you a quiz at the very beginning, but it's a very easy quiz just to confirm that you read, right? It doesn't really require that much reading. It's a very basic quiz, okay? When you have a class like that, the main problem for you is not your understanding, because the quiz is too easy. All right? The quiz that's asking for your understanding is so open-ended that it doesn't really matter how much you understand it. You can understand 15% and still get by the quiz. The problem for you is not the quiz. The problem for you is your time. You're a busy college student, and you don't want to spend 5 hours understanding 2 chapters of Marx, right? You want to spend 1 hour you want to spend 1 hour reading 2 chapters of Marx, and then just move on to your next assignment or whatever. Your problem is time. If your problem is time, then this is perfect. This is awesome. You know, if your problem is time, you just do beep boop 1 2 1 2, and you can read the whole thing, and you can solve the guilt of not having read the question, not having read the passage before class. Perfectly fine. I really, this slide though, this slide is giving you a solution to a problem that is not connected to the SAT. The SAT will reward you for understanding the passage. It will not reward you simply for saving time. And this is something I strongly believe in, and I've talked about a lot in many of my streams and many of my videos. So I'm gonna continue listening to a little bit more of this video, and just giving my reactions. But for now, I am already 90% sure what my position is, based on me trying the 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, let me continue reading. Hey guys, hey everyone on YouTube, I see you guys, and I do see another comment on Discord that this is just a thing so that you don't have to do the sub-vocalizations. Yes, I realize that the whole point is to remove sub-vocalization, but I think we're actually creating a fake enemy when the real enemy is, I think the real enemy is not understanding. And I'll give you an example later on what I mean when I talk about understanding. An astronaut is asking about 1 2 1 2. That's literally talking about this advice right here. That's talking about this advice right here. You see my mouse? this device over here where it says start counting 2 over and over again, 1 2 1 2 1 2, or beep boop beep boop beep boop. That's the advice from this video.
Left, right, some people say beep boop. Just, you want to be saying something really easy over and over and over again that engages the vocal portion of your brain. And then, what you're going to do is increase the speed of the tracker and start to follow it with your eyes, rather than letting your eyes dictate the speed of the tracker. Your peripheral vision will do the rest, right? And what I mean by that is this. If you're reading, you're just letting your eyes follow you speaking to yourself. So it's like, use a tracker like a pencil or your finger. I prefer a pencil, and drag it underneath the text as you read at your normal pace, right? That's what I'm doing there. Now, once I start counting out loud in my head, what I want to do is realize I was moving about this fast before. Now I want to start going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then keep increasing the speed of the tracker by 25% at a time, never stopping and never moving backwards. So you're going to start going this fast, then try moving even faster, keep upping the...
Okay, philosophically, guys, true or false, people who get 800s never move backwards. What do you think, guys? True or false, people who get 800s never move backwards. As in, their eyes never go from a bottom line to an upper line. Definitely false. But you know what? If I mean, this would require a longer lecture, and today it's already very late for me, so I'm not going to do that whole lecture. But I actually urge you to go. If you want to do something for free, okay, go find the smartest person in your class, and just as an idea, the smartest person in your class that is your friend, not like an enemy of yours. Go find the smartest person in your class as your friend, and just as an idea, say, hey, can I watch you as you solve a test, okay, and solve that test before he solves or she solves that test, so that you at least know all the content, and then watch their eye patterns, their eye movement patterns. I know it sounds like a crazy idea, but let's actually get data on what the high scorers are doing, because I will tell you, if I never looked backwards, I would bomb so many questions. It would be so bad. It would be horrible. All right, I'm going to continue.
Every single session. Right? So watch my mouse, right? This is sort of what the process looks like even on a long paragraph. I start just doing my normal thing, right? And I'm going at my speaking speed when I'm dragging, my reading speed by talking to myself in my own head. Lots of people from all over the world want to speed read, but very few ever take the time to do so. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's it. I'm just trying to up the speed and drag my eyes with the pointer itself. If you're on a computer, use a mouse. A mouse is amazing. And if you're taking the SAT...
Okay, I'm going to say this again. Look, I'm actually not saying that speed reading is completely useless, and I think there might be some misunderstanding here. I can totally see why it's useless. I can totally see why it's useful. It's useful because most writing in the world that you're reading is uninformative. Like, if I'm actually reading this passage right here, lots of people want to... I actually don't need to read all of these words. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of get it even without reading everything. I mean, I think you do too, right? Like, you kind of know what it's talking about, even if you use a trick where you like only read every 5 words. Like, let's say I actually took the time to delete every 5 words. Sorry, delete every 3 words or something like that. So you only saw 2 out of the 3 words. I'm pretty sure you'll still kind of get what this passage is saying. And in the real world, like not the SAT, in the real world, in your school assignments, in all the, in every, like in this world that forces you to do all this shit reading, most of the readings that you're doing, you're not even gonna get tested on. They're just making you read 100 pages. They're not testing you on everything, right? It would be impossible for them to test you on everything. So I get the appeal. You're being forced to read a bunch of nonsense, like a bunch of things that aren't directly useful. So why not just read the fuck faster, right? Like, why not just like skim like crazy? And so what this is this is a useful tool for perfectionists who have the natural tendency where they want to slow down and understand everything, but they realize because they're perfectionists, their reading is taking too much time, but the reading doesn't lead, even though they're taking like 5 hours reading this thing, it's actually not improving their score because they didn't really need to read 5 hours for that grade. They only needed to get the general theme. So So for all of you perfectionists who still want to, perfectionists who are also completionists, where you want to say that you read the whole thing, for all of you perfectionists who are also completionists, here's my magic solution. Speed read. And what is speed reading? Artificially force yourself to just read another line every 2 seconds. Will that increase your understanding? Hell no. It will destroy your understanding. It will not increase your understanding. It will make your understanding way worse. But you know what it'll do for you? It'll save you, instead of 5 hours, it'll save you it'll save you 4 hours. Now you can quote unquote read the whole thing in only 1 hour. You can get the badge. You can get the accomplishment. I read it. You completed it, right? You read it, and you still generally got the idea. So it's probably good enough for you to go into class and then to bullshit a couple sentences if the teacher ever calls on you to talk about it. Speed reading is amazingly useful when you're being forced to read like 100 pages in 3 days for a seminar that's coming up in 2 days. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. For the SAT though, hell fucking no. Hell fucking no. It's not useful unless maybe you are at 550 and your only goal is to get 650. Like I think if you have a really low score and you just want to get like an average score, average high score rather. If you're at a low score and you want to get average high score, then that might be fine. But this would be horrible if you're trying to get 750 or 800. And I think actually this person, Tony, I can kind of tell from his voice and the way he's speaking, he's actually probably a pretty smart kid or teacher, or I don't know, kid or teacher or whatever he is. I can tell he's probably pretty smart. I bet if you installed eye tracking software and made him solve an SAT, he would not be following his own advice. I bet he would not follow his own advice. If you could somehow install eye tracking software on him without his consent or awareness, I bet he would totally spend more than 2 seconds per line on passage. And I bet he would get the answers right. Hey, Tony, by the way, if you ever find this video, I challenge you. Shots fired. Bang, bang. All right. I'm seeing some chats here. So let me just do some quick responses. How does it feel to have YouTube Premium? I mean, as an adult, it's one of the privileges. As somebody who makes money, it's a privilege that I can pay to not see ads. And I will tell you, it is more wonderful than a morning shit after 3 days of constipation. It is great. And I encourage you, if you are a YouTube watching fiend, that if you if the number one activity in your Common Apps activity list is wasting out watching YouTube in bed, I encourage you to make that habit even worse by subscribing to YouTube Premium for $10-ish a month, because oh my god, it is so great not watching ads. Okay. It's very annoying when I turn the TV on, and you know how sometimes the TV has a YouTube app but it's not connected to my account. It's very annoying when I turn the TV on and go to YouTube and I have to watch an ad. So annoying. First time seeing me live. Oh man, yeah. Nivaden, Niv, that's awesome. Glad to have you here. And yes, I am an English teacher. I'm an English teacher, I'm an English tutor and teacher. I do SAT cram primarily for, my main classes are SAT. But reading, writing overall is the general focus. Should I keep listening?
Use your pencil or a finger. He is, because I'm going as I'm moving. But especially in habit, that's long. Completely using it elsewhere. But you can't be even saying something that drowns out. Have you ever done a life of utility at a time? And here, if you're coming up with.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wonder if he makes the argument that you can.
I want, as an example, to take a look at a constellation.
I want to know if he makes the argument that you can retain the information even while speed reading.
You'll notice here that there's a ton of stars in the sky. There's countless stars in the sky. And even if you see them, but we're not remembering any of them. For instance, trying to look at just this portion of the sky, then this portion of the sky. Then a minute later, you see this portion. Then a minute later,
Ooh, see, I think he's underselling how hard it is to actually find the connection finding the connection is the part that takes time, and finding the connection is the part that forces you to actually go back and reread. I'll give you an example, okay? Let me actually pull up a hard question. What's a hard question that I had to solve today? What's a hard question I had to solve today? What's a hard question I had to solve today? What's a hard question I had to solve today? Okay, it wasn't today, but it's a different question. Yep. So, okay. Let's solve this question real quick, okay? And unfortunately, I'm already biased because I've already read this before. But I will. But just trust me, because if you really want to, you can go and watch my Blue Book 6 stream and see how I actually solve this. Okay. But right now, I'm kind of play acting. I'm enacting how my reading works. And the topic right now is, how do I connect the dots? How do I connect the dots? Okay. And the question I want you to be asking is, when does Saul look up? And when he does look up, like he's down here, but then he looks up here, okay? When he does look up, why is he looking up? Okay, that's the question I want you to think about when I'm reading this. I will be not just sub-vocalizing, I'll be super vocalizing, I'll be saying everything, okay? All right. And Dev, by the way, I think you can probably tell my implicit argument against sub-vocalizations if you've watched my 6 Blue Book videos. My argument that the sub-vocalizations are not a real enemy, okay, that you don't need to bother turning the sub-vocalizations into this boogeyman that you have to kill. My argument against it is that Saul not only sub-vocalizes, he literally talks like during the test and still solves it with within 32 minutes. It's not the time that you spend reading. It's not the time that Saul spends reading that's harming him, okay? It's the inaccuracies in his thinking that's harming him, okay? And I really want you to make a difference. I really want to make a differentiate. I really want to make a distinction between speeding up and saving time, but actually having an inaccurate understanding and then losing time and potentially even more time than you save. Okay, so here we go. Let me explain. Under normal pressure at Earth's surface. Okay, at this very moment, I'm thinking pressure could be a character. Okay, it could be like a thing that could do something. You can increase the pressure, you can decrease the pressure, whatever. Water molecules, okay, that's a new character, form a network that is stabilized by hydrogen bonds. Okay, we have molecules, and then within the molecules we have hydrogen bonds. So that's like a general character and a specific sub character within the water molecules. And when you increase the pressure, there we go. So what happened? We have the same pressure, atmospheric pressure versus high pressure. When you increase the pressure in deep ocean waters, we destabilize the bonds. Okay. Now, for me as a good reader, I actually don't need to look up, but some of you may need to look up, especially if you're really weak on chemistry. Then you might need to go up and remind yourself what the bonds are. The bonds are not government bonds, okay? The bonds are not like they're not like ropes, okay? You weirdos. The bonds are the hydrogen bonds, right? You need to go back. Some of you may need to double check what the bonds are referring to. And then it says it compresses water's structure. Now, as a good reader, I actually remember what the structure is. The structure is the tetrahedral network. But so I don't actually need to look up, but some of you may need to look up to remind yourself what the water structure is. Allowing water molecules within organisms. Now, I actually don't need to look up because I remember that this is the first time organisms came out. But maybe I can imagine myself getting confused and actually briefly checking, wait, did organisms come out before? And I see no. So this is a new character, right? So at this moment, I already have a character list. What's my character list? I'll just count it off real quick. Without looking at the passage, my character list is I have pressure, which we can increase or decrease. We have water molecules, and within the water molecules, we have tetrahedral networks of hydrogen bonds, which could be combined into one character or split. It depends on how you think about it. let's just call it one character. It's just hydrogen bonds, okay? Hydrogen bonds. And then we also have the other character, the new character of organisms, okay? To permeate the protein. Okay, so when you destabilize the bonds and you compress the tetrahedral structure, then you actually allow the water molecules in organisms to permeate the proteins. So wow, oh that's super wild. There's so many things happening, but now the water molecules become like a weapon against the protein, and they hurt the biological function of the organisms. Okay, actually, I suspect that if you are a 750 score or higher, if you're a 750 score or higher, you still would feel like this part is probably the most annoying part to read because of how many new characters come out here. We have organisms, proteins, and biological functions, and you're like, what the fuck? Why are there so many characters, right? And are they even important? Are we even going to mention them later? Are they going to come back again? Or is this just like a one-off cameo appearance? Okay, so I'm continuing, and I think even as a 750 reader, you should be like annoyed at this part or a little frustrated at this part. Here we go. Yet, organisms, known as piezophiles. So organisms, this connects back to organisms which can get hurt by the water molecules. Yet, organisms known as piezophiles have adapted to extreme pressures. So this is a new type of organism, so it's a new character. Okay, so they have extreme pressure. At this point, I already know a bunch of things without even reading the rest of the passage. I already know some things, okay? I know that piezophiles are okay with high pressure, but other organisms are not okay with high pressure. And I know that other organisms are not okay with high pressure because water molecules compress and then attack their proteins or something like that, all right? Therefore, what did I just learn about piezophiles? For piezophiles, water molecules compress, but for some reason, even if they compress, they don't attack their proteins. Something like that. Okay, that's my prediction at this moment without even finishing the passage. Okay, you'll notice that when I'm doing all of that, if you go back and watch my Blue Book 6 stream, when I am doing all of this, maybe not every single connection that I'm making right now, because maybe I struggle to understand on the real time, but I am making most of these connections in real time, and that's definitely slowing down my reading, not speeding up my reading. Okay, let's finish this off. Studies have found a positive correlation between depth. What the hell? Now, depth is a new idea. Okay, and for me as a non-chemistry person, it's a little overwhelming to have all these biochemistry oriented like characters, but I still get depth because depth for me connects back to pressure. Okay, so for me, depth and pressure are basically synonyms, even though they aren't literally synonyms. So if I increase the pressure for the piezophiles, then I will have a positive correlation with the I'm going to call it Tmao. So if you increase the pressure, you're going to increase the Tmao, and Tmao apparently reduces the compression of the water. So I just need to double check. Right, this is compression of the water. We have compression of the water, right? And now I know everything I need. I don't even need to read the answer choices to know how to support the researcher's hypothesis. What's the researcher's hypothesis? The researcher's hypothesis is that Tmao reduces compressibility. So if I want to just say that Tmao reduces compressibility, then all I need to do is say Tmao keeps the bonds, even though the pressure is high, Tmao keeps the bonds stable. Okay? So I will tell you for sure, if I use the speed rating technique, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, I am definitely not going to catch my characters. I'm not going to catch the relationship between pressure to destabilization of bonds, to compression of the water structure, to harm, and then contrast. Piezophiles, not harmed by pressure because of Tmao. Tmao, stabilizes the bonds, there's no way in hell if I do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, there's no way in hell I'm going to understand that. And I challenge you to try to understand that on the hard questions, on the SAT, while forcing yourself to read 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I would be hard pressed. I would be hard pressed to imagine a person reading that fast. You know what? Actually, I can imagine one person. You know what? A chemistry expert who knows all of this background information and has it all in their head. I bet a chemistry expert or is it biology? It's like somewhere in between both, right? I guess it's more biology at this point. But a biology expert, a marine biology expert, will probably be able to read this 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, but largely because it is it's just recalling already existing memory, already existing knowledge. Okay, but if you exclude biology experts and only select for 800 scorers who are non-biology experts, if you only focus on non-biology experts who score 800s, I guarantee you they do not read this by speed reading. Insane. Insane. Okay. By the way, we already did the question, so might as well talk about the question. So, hey, what did I say? I said that the Tmao will it reduces the compressibility because it keeps the bond stable. Tmao, where's stable bonds? Stable bonds, stable bonds, stable bonds, stable bonds. Positive correlation between amount of Tmao and no, this is increasing the compressibility. That's bad. Hydrogen bonds are more stable when Tmao is present, and that's correct. Okay. I just need to read the whole thing, but I actually remember the answer right now because I taught this yesterday. Analysis of the structure under high pressure. Yeah, right. Even if there's high pressure, if you have Tmao, then your hydrogen bonds are more stable. Okay, so that is definitely D. Okay, I'm just reading the chat now again. Quick wrap up. Where's my speed reading video? Here we are. Speed reading video. I mean, I don't think that speed reading is totally useless, like I said. So if I just give you my overall thoughts, speed reading is fine if your primary problem is time. However, on the SAT, your primary problem is not time. You might think your primary problem is time. It's actually your secondary problem. I could talk about that in the future. It's a secondary problem, okay? Your primary problem is actually understanding. And if you improve your understanding, your predictions will get better. If your predictions get better, then your matches will get better. And when your matches get better, then your process elimination will get faster. When your process elimination gets faster, then your time gets solved. Okay? That's my general approach. This is something I've been talking about forever now. I've been talking about this for years now. And I've been showing how it works by actually showing you how I use it in real tests, so you can just see the proof. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm actually doing it. For most of you guys, when you read this question, you will read this question in literally like 25 seconds or 35 seconds. If you watch me, I bet I took like a minute to read this. I bet I took a minute to read this question. Okay, I'm not gonna go and find it, but I bet I took a whole minute to read this question. Why? Because I actually tried to understand, and when I understand, then I look at choices, and I don't have to do like an infinite loop of process elimination. I already know what I'm looking for, and I find what I'm looking for. I match it, and I move on. I save a lot of time on process elimination because I understand what the passage is talking about. Can you realistically understand every single passage within time? Well, that depends on you. Okay, if your current score is 650, hell no. You cannot understand all of the questions in module 2 within 32 minutes if you are at the 650 level. Okay, so you have to sacrifice some of them. You have to do some 50-50 guesses or whatever, right? But if you're at the 750 level, can you understand all of the questions within 32 minutes? Yes, not only can you must. You must attempt to, at least, okay? There will always be a couple questions or a couple passages that are beyond your reach because the SAT wants to challenge you. But Your challenge is to actually understand what the hell they're talking about. Now, understanding is not just one skill. There's multiple skills involved in understanding. Some of it's grammar, some of it's vocabulary, some of it's rhetorical functions like, transitions between different sections. There's a bunch of different things that go into a reading, right? It's not just like, you don't just like decide one morning, oh, I got to understand more, so I'm going to understand more. That's not something that just magically happens. There's sub skills underneath that, but but I will guarantee when you use those sub skills to improve your understanding, you will slow down on the reading. You will slow down on the reading, and that is not a bad thing at all. Okay, so I am against speed reading for SAT, even though I am for speed reading for just saving time in your busy lives. Okay, go ahead and speed read all the time. If your teachers are assigning you hundreds of pages to read and you literally have one day to read it, yeah, go ahead, speed read. It's fine, right? It's not like your grade's gonna drop from like an A to a D just because you speed read. It's fine. All right, that's my wrap up. Okay, it looks like no one else has questions, so I'm gonna head out. It's pretty late for me. I need to sleep, but I am noticing something. I'm noticing I didn't respond to every chat, so let me just quickly do some scoop up. I stopped the math sections because I'm actually just not good at math. I used to be when I was your age. I used to be not amazing, but I would do like AMC and Amy and stuff. I would do like the math contests, and I wouldn't like. I wasn't like a genius or anything, but I was like, I was good enough where getting an 800 on the SAT was a guaranteed. Like I would have been shocked if I didn't get an 800 on the SAT for math. But that was many years ago, and my math is actually garbage now. So there are better people for math, so I cannot do that, or I just choose not to do it. Ionic bonds, yeah, some of you guys are pretty good with the chemistry and biology background. Sadly, I'm not. I will say, even though it looks like I skip the unnecessary words that I don't read every single sentence, I actually probably read 90% of everything. I'm just not saying it out loud, because if I literally said everything out loud, that would slow me down far too much. So I do read like 90% or more of what I'm reading. And you don't need to fixate on the 90% number. What you need to notice is that if you measure yourself reading and if you measure me reading, you probably read that passage in like 25-35 seconds, and I probably read that passage in 1 minute. I mean, that's probably enough proof for you. That's probably enough to prove that I actually do read a large chunk, like a very, very large proportion of that passage. So I will gently push back that on your suggestion that I don't really read every sentence. I basically do read every sentence. Oh, you should not vocalize the question. You whisper. You can inaudibly whisper to yourself, and that's fine. But you should not actually vocalize it. That's no good. And I don't think that. I actually do think audibly vocalizing might help some students. I don't think it'll help every student. It might help some students, but doesn't. It's a moot point, because even if it does help you, that's not the test taking condition. You're not allowed to vocalize. So just work with it, okay? Work with the inability to vocalize. You are just not allowed to, so don't ever even get into the habit of vocalizing out loud. The only reason I'm vocalizing out loud is because the YouTube video cannot mind read me, right? I don't have like a little Neuralink that like transcribes all my thoughts into text. You know what I mean? If I did, then I wouldn't vocalize at all. I just solve it. If I could just somehow close caption all my thoughts without even speaking. But as far as these YouTube videos are concerned, they need to hear my voice to know what I'm thinking, so that's why I'm vocalizing. I don't actually vocalize when I'm really taking a test. That would be crazy. All right. I will just shout out one thing real quick. Guys, if you are taking the August SAT, I am opening an invitation for you guys to sign up for 1-day classes. Every day is a practice test that I designed. Okay, the practice test is composed 50% of 50% of the questions are from Khan Academy and linear PDFs, but not Blue Book. The other 50% are written by me. And overall, my practice tests are harder than the practice tests that you'll see in the wild. Okay, they're harder. I think they're easier than Blue Book 5 and 6, a slight bit easier than in Blue Book 5 and 6, and they are like 10% harder. So there's like 10% easier than Blue Books 5 and 6, and 10% harder than Blue Books 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if you want to have a challenging practice test and you want to get my step-by-step walkthrough of all the questions, okay, go ahead and join the Discord server where I talk about this. All the pricing and the dates and all the timing information comes out. I will briefly mention the dates are listed for 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you are in New York, it would be Sunday 7 p.m., Monday 7 p.m., Tuesday 7 p.m. Alternatively, if you are in London, it would be Monday 12 a.m., Tuesday 12 a.m., Wednesday 12 a.m. And if you are in like Korea, for example, where I am, then it would be Monday 8 a.m., Tuesday 8 a.m., Wednesday 8 a.m. I'm just double checking if I'm doing the math right, but something like that. Okay, so just be aware these are all based on New York 7 p.m. times, East Coast 7 p.m. times. But if I have 3 people, okay, excluding me, if I have 3 people signed up for any given day, I will definitely hold class that day. It will require some prepayment. So and I have the website I have the payment website set up, but I don't have like the registration website set up. So it's gonna be a little bit hacky. Okay, I'm just multitasking right now. I'm just doing too many things at once right now. But I will definitely I'm not gonna scam you guys. I have a whole online reputation to hold up, so I'm not gonna scam you guys. Is the main promise. So that is again, if I have 3 students for any given day, I will definitely hold that class that day. So go ahead and sign up. Every day will be a new test that you've not seen before, unless you've solved all of Khan Academy and all the linear PDFs. But even if you solve the Khan Academy, I will say that the Khan Academy was mainly used for kind of the easier questions. The hard questions from my packets are mostly written by me. So you will, even though you will see some overlap with your Khan Academy practice, mostly it should feel still painful because there will be a lot of new hard questions for you to solve from my PDFs. Okay, so it's still an option for you. Maybe not the ideal option for you, but it's still an option for you. And for pricing detail, I mean, I might as well just share it since I'm already here. Let me quickly, if you join my Discord server and if you go to group courses, and okay, the details are here, and the price is $90 per class. Okay, prepaid. Each class is 3 hours. Okay, each class is 3 hours. We will review 2 modules, reading and writing. And you get to choose as many or few classes as you want, as in you can literally just do 1 day or you can do all 10 days. That's up to you. And if you pay for 5 or more classes, you're going to get 10% off. And if you give me early bird payment, now this early bird payment, it's technically past due, but I'm actually going to change it. So I will just tell you for now, early bird is still in effect for this time being. I haven't actually decided a date yet. Early bird is still in effect for this time being. I just got injured last week, so I was unable to communicate last week, which sent everything back a whole week. But anyway, little excuses aside, if you want to get in on the early bird pricing as of now on Monday, August 5th, it's still live. So if you purchase before, okay, if you purchase soon, okay, you'll still get early bird pricing. So you can get up to 20% off by promo stacking. Okay, so that's it from me. All right. Good places to visit in South Korea. Lots of places, but for now, I'll just recommend TikTok because I want to go sleep. And thank you everybody for joining me on this stream. As always, if you have more questions, just drop them in the comments. Join the Discord server. I'll be here to chat. Otherwise, hey, keep on.